everybody. I'm just going to wait a few more seconds to see if there's any last minute people coming in before we start.
Hi.
Hi, Fatma, how are you?
I'm looking forward to this. I'm so hungry.
I'm gonna be making the stuff and then just waiting on the side for another hour to eat them.
I know. Hi, Brendan and Casey. I see some friends here. Sorry. Joachim.
I think maybe I'll just start because we don't have that long. Give a very brief introduction to Fatma to those of you who don't know her. Although I'm sure probably most of you do know a little bit about Fatma. So she is a passionate foodie and food blogger who started a brunch club, a Yemeni brunch club in London in 2018 called Meet Me at Fatma's, which was amazing. And we actually did an event with her in 2019, November 2019, in London, which was a huge success, a Yemeni brunch with food and music. And we'd have loved to do something like that in person again, because we just launched eventually after a while of looking at different Yemeni handcraft products. We launched these amazing stone pots that are perfect for cooking the kind of dishes that Fatma makes and talks about. But we didn't really have the opportunity, obviously, because of COVID. So instead, we're doing it online, which also has its benefits because those of you from far away, I think there's some of you in America who are able to join us. So it's also great. And maybe we can do it in person again soon. Fatma also is presenting food for a TV channel called, what's it called? And so she's pretty professional at this, so you're in good hands. And yeah, without further ado, hand it over to Fatma.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for the lovely introduction, Electra. I'm very excited and really looking forward to this. So I'm just gonna, jump straight into it. But before I actually start, making all the ingredients and cooking, I really want to tell you something real quick about the story of the harada, or some people in Yemen call it magla, which is the stone pot that we use to cook. And it's also very popular mainly in the northern parts of Yemen because that's where it's a little bit colder, as opposed to the south where it's extremely hot. So basically, this stone, it comes from the mountains of Saada, which is also like centered around like the northern parts of Yemen. And what they do is that they hand carve it. So they bring that like one big stone and then they just make it into these small little pots. And then you will also notice that they don't really have handles, but what they do is they make like two triangles out of that massive stone, and then it becomes the handle of the harada. I have one over here. For those of you who are not going to be cooking with a harada tonight, it's absolutely fine. Because I'm making two different dishes, I'm going to use half of my portions for the harada, and then the other half I'm just going to do it in the regular saucepan. So yeah, without further ado, I know that some of the audience here are going to be choosing what they want to make. So we've got like Team Fool, we've got Team Celta, which is also, I would call it like the king of the table, also in the northern parts, because it's basically a mix of different vegetables and ingredients together into one. A lot of people also find it popular because even if you have leftovers, you can put everything into this dish and it will be, it's still tasting really great and amazing. And it's also very nutritious because it involves a lot of other different types of vegetables. So if you are Team Celta, then the first thing that I would like you to do is to bring your fenugreek. So this is ground fenugreek. And what I will do is I'm just going to put it quickly into a bowl. And what we want to do is basically soak it for as long as possible, like maximum of an hour. So I'm just going to take like a spoonful over here. And then, I love my hilba, which is the Arabic word for it. And so I'm just going to put it over here in this bowl. And I'm going to add some water in there. So just enough to have it all soaked. Give it a little mix, and then just like keep it to the side. Okay, we will come back to this right at the end because that's what's going to make selta what it is, and also it's considered like a garnish. Okay, so now we are going to start with all the chopping. So over here, because I'm making two main dishes, I have approximately 2 onions chopped up. But if you haven't chopped your onions, that's absolutely fine. Do take your time. I'm going to give this like a couple of minutes. And then I've also got my tomatoes. So what I do is for every dish that I make, I'm making the base, which is called a kushna. So for every kushna, which is approximately for about 2 to 4 people, the ratio is 1 onion to 2 tomatoes and 2 garlic cloves. So if you're making both dishes, then you just double it up. So you've got 2 onions, 4 tomatoes, like medium size, and then you've got your garlic cloves. So yeah, I'm gonna give you guys a couple of minutes to start chopping the onions, and then on the side as well, we're gonna put the harada or your saucepan on this stove so that it starts heating up with a little bit of oil. So I'm just gonna be moved. I'll be right back.
I'm just going to say quickly, if any of you guys have any questions, just put your hands up in the chat and then I can unmute you so you can ask Fatma.
Okay, so I know a couple of people are going to be just watching and then trying it later on their own. Not to worry, because I believe the lovely ladies here at Ishkar are actually recording this, so you can watch it later, and then so you could go at your own pace if you want. Okay, so I'll give it about a minute or two so that we finish chopping our onions, and then I'm going to take that onto the stove and start cooking it so that it cooks up really nicely and browns up. And then after that, we're gonna, start on something else while that is cooking nicely. And do let us know if I'm going a little too fast.
Maybe if we can just have a quick glance at what you've got down there, that would be great.
Of course, yes. So here are my ingredients over here. So I've got my onions, and then I've also got my tomatoes over here, because what I want to do is, and this is completely optional, I want it to be pureed, okay? And then I've got my vegetables for the selta. So I actually picked okra and some potatoes, which are the 2 main vegetables that actually go in there. And then I didn't have any, what do you call it? Oh my God, I forgot the name. Courgettes, but I did have some leftover green beans and also some cauliflower, so I'm going to be using those. And yeah, so then we've got these ones are mainly for flavoring. It's optional if you wanted to go for a chili or not. And yeah, and then I've also obviously got my fool right over here, which is going to be super easy to make once the kushna is ready. Okay, so I'm going to take my onions. So be patient with me. I'm just going to be moving this one to the side. It's going to be my stand for the night. So can you see I've got my saucepan over here, and then I've got my harada right over here.
Yeah, you can see that.
So what I'll do is I'm just going to put like half of the quantity here. Oops, I forgot to turn it on. gonna wait for this one to heat up. Now, the good thing about a harada or a magla is that it actually keeps the heat and it divides it evenly onto the whole thing. So just be very careful when you handle it because it could be a little too hot at times. So you don't want to touch it and get burnt. But if you, if you have it at a regular temperature, it should be absolutely fine. Just avoid touching the sides as much as possible. There you go. So what I will be doing tonight is actually cooking the selta onto the harada because there's a lot of drama to it and you've got a lot more components. And then I'm going to use the other one for my fool. However, if you are cooking fool tonight, just fool, and you have a harada, then just feel free to just make it on the harada and don't mind the rest.
Can I just check with you because I think we're making the fool first, and then people can develop it into salta. Am I right?
No. So the fool is separate from the selta. Okay. So yeah, normally we don't really put any legumes in selta. However, I'm always pro innovation and pro personalizing something. So if you feel like you want to put in some beans or some fool into your selta, that's absolutely fine. But today I'm cooking it more of the traditional method, but feel free to just personalize it the way that you want.
Fatma.
Hello.
What have you done so far? You've just put onions into the bowl. Is that it?
Exactly.
Yeah, a bit of oil and the onions into one into the stone bowl and one into the pot. Okay.
Exactly.
So you're making the selta and the full madambas side by side.
Yes, exactly that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So while we wait for the onions to cook. Oh, this is not heating up quickly. So while we're waiting for the onions to cook, just keep an eye on them. And then we're gonna start chopping our tomatoes or pureeing them if we want it. So I've already cut mine into cubes. So what I will do is I am just going to mix them up a little bit. So I don't have a mixer actually, I just have a food processor and I have this. So I'm just gonna be using this to puree my tomatoes over here. Just give it a little whiz. There you go, that should be fine. So I will be using this mixer again. Now, if you are going to be making selta and you want your fenugreek to look green, what we are going to do is we're going to chop some herbs and put them into just a place so that we can mix them up. And then that is what we're going to be using into or adding into the whipped fenugreek, okay? So the main ingredients that I'm going to be using for the herbs are basically some green onions or spring onions, like what we call them. So about two of these. And then we've got some coriander as well. So, just wash them up and chop them into small pieces. And I'm also going to be adding one chili because I really like my chili. So I will just chop it up real quick and then add it into the mix.
Quick question, Fatma, on the fenugreek. I know that the fenugreek is quite hard to come by, but the ground one that you had, is that comes already ground like that, or did you do that yourself?
So what I did, I normally get the ground one that's ready. But if you feel like you want it whole, that's absolutely fine, and then you could grind it up. But you cannot make it while it's whole because it's like never going to be whipped. So it has to be ground.
Nice.
Okay. So I've already chopped mine. So please take your time and chop up all your greens into one. And what I'm going to do as well is just add a little bit of water so that it can help me with the mixing. I've got some garlic as well that I want to add in there.
Hang on, so just lower it. Lower it.
1 garlic is enough for this. Okay, I will quickly check on the onions, give it a little mix, and be right back.
Garlic, crush the garlic. Yeah, I'm gonna ask her what she's doing. Do it over here, though. Do it into the pot. No, it's not into the pot. It's going into a separate thing with the greens. It's not going into the pot.
Okay, so I will move forward and
Fatma, sorry, because I just want to ask you now, what have you done now? Okay, what have you put into, you got the greens, okay?
yes.
Just recap when you have it done. What's gone into that?
So this one, we've got the main 3 ingredients that I've put in there are spring onions.
Yes, spring onions.
Some coriander.
Coriander.
And
garlic.
Yeah, and garlic. So if you want it to be a little hot, just add a little chili in there.
Okay.
Okay. And then you can add some water so that it can help you with the mixing. So what I'll do is I will mix it up so that it can give me a little nice green paste. There you go. That should be ready. Yes. There you go. And yeah, I'm just going to show you over here. So this is kind of the consistency that I'm looking at. And this is absolutely fine. If I don't want it a little watery, that's fine. I could just sort of sieve it and then just take the water off it, and then it should be absolutely fine. But this is exactly the lovely color that I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm gonna go and check on my onions again, and I'll take you with me. So this one is starting to cook in my magla. This one here is slightly faster, which is absolutely fine.
So just is it normally the case that it's a bit slower to cook in the magla, or is it
Yes.
sometimes quicker?
Yeah,
or?
slightly slower. I think what I could have done to speed it up is I actually forgot to turn the stove on for the magla to be hot. So it took a little while longer, but it's absolutely fine. It can nicely take its time.
Okay.
It's also because of the thickness as well. So a saucepan would normally be thinner. Okay, then we could use this time to prep for some other things as well. So we're just waiting for the onions to sweat, and then as soon as that one is ready, then we can put in our tomatoes or the tomato puree and our garlic in there, so that it just starts cooking up. And also, and this is optional, like if you like some tomato puree, you can put it in there for a little bit of extra red, but if you want, you can absolutely leave that on the side. Okay, so another thing that that is also optional in terms of how you want to cook your veg, what I normally do sometimes is that I boil all my veg on the side, and then I just add them once my tomato base is ready, which is what we call kushna. Other times, I just prefer for everything to cook into one place. If I don't want to, use an extra saucepan, so that all the vegetables can go into the red sauce base, I add a little bit of hot water, and then I just let them all boil together. So if you want, you could actually, if you have some time right now while you're waiting for your onions to to sweat, you can start cutting your vegetables. So over here again, I have my okra. I'm a huge fan of okra, and it is, I feel, is what actually makes Celta very special. And then I have got my potatoes. So this is approximately like 1 medium potato. The portions can vary. So if you love a lot of potatoes, that's absolutely fine. Go for more. If you don't, then they just make it less. Or if you want it less starchy and more green. And so, yeah. And if you also have a little extra time, you can take your full mudammas in a can and just drain out all the water, give it a little quick wash, and then it should be ready to go.
If someone wanted to use sweet potatoes or like even butternut squash or something rather than potatoes, normal potatoes.
I think that's absolutely fine. Sweet potatoes and butternut squash are not very big in Yemen, so not a lot of people eat them. And to be honest, I haven't seen them in a stew before. But again, I am up for any innovative ideas. Okay, so now the...
Can I have a question? Sorry.
Of course, go for it.
So I got 2 types of fava beans. One is peeled and one has cumin in it. I couldn't find plain ones. I'm just wondering if I should use the peeled or the...
I would suggest, what was the other one? There's a cumin.
One's cumin and it's kind of whole, and then the other one's peeled.
Oh, it should be absolutely fine. I think I would say go for the cumin. So that it doesn't necessarily affect a taste, because what we are going to do is one of our spices is definitely going to be cumin. So you've got yours sorted already.
Perfect. Thanks.
No worries. So yeah, I'm just still waiting for my onions here to sweat, but I've got everything else ready, which is fantastic. So yeah, I'm guessing everyone is okay. They're getting their stuff ready. Are we still? I'm guessing we're also like still sweating our onions.
And there's nothing else in with the onions yet, Fatima.
Oh, sorry, you're not there yet.
There's nothing else in with the onions yet, just the onions, okay?
Just the onions, just the onions.
Hey, we're keeping up with you.
Pressure.
You have to go very slowly here now. And you have to say things 2 or 3 times.
Of course, I'm more than happy to do that, even 10 times.
And then you have to do it bil-Arabi, bil-Fransawi.
Okay, I would like to save myself a little time, and you guys as well. So if you want, you could take another saucepan, add some hot water in it, and start boiling the potatoes, because they take the longest. So I've got my, normally okra also doesn't take a lot of time, but I like to put it in there as well. And maybe I'll just add my green beans and my cauliflower a little bit later, because I don't want them to just be like dead vegetables.
In fact, the salta and fool, do they kind of vary in variations around Yemen, or like they use certain ingredients in the north, certain ingredients in the south? Or?
I really like that question, because fool is quite, I would say, common in the Middle East. The one that makes the Yemeni version a little bit different is actually the kushna, which is the tomato base. Like for instance, in Egypt, they don't really make it with a lot of, they concentrate on things like olive oil and some, cumin and some garlic, but they don't really use a lot of tomatoes, which we do. Celta, on the other hand, is very special to Yemen. I think people use like a mix of vegetables in other ways, but for us, especially when we do it in a harada, it makes it very special. There are some stories that say that the origin of Celta is actually Turkish, which came from the Ottoman Empire, but that's not the case actually, because Celta is originally from Yemen. However, some people add some minced meat or some just meat in general in it. And that was actually influenced by the Ottoman Empire, because when they saw it, it was basically like a soup with some hulba, which is the fenugreek on top. And then they were like, why don't we add a little bit of meat in there? So that's how Celta also became non-vegetarian, because there was some meat in there. So if you do have some meat left over, feel free to just like also put it in. Okay, so we've got our water now that's boiled and ready. So I'm gonna add that and then have my potatoes cook. So it looks like our onions are nice and very sweaty at the moment. So let's just put this here. Sorry, one moment, everybody.
We have a question from Rafika that's asking, is that the fasta? I'm not sure exactly what you were referring to. Is it maybe what we were seeing before?
No, fahsa is, I would call it the sibling of Celta, but fahsa is purely meat. So you've got your beef or your lamb, and it's basically like cooked, and then you just pull it apart. And then when this is also optional, some people add a layer of the whipped fenugreek, and other people prefer just to have it that way. But I personally love fahsa more than Celta, maybe because I love meat more than fish. But yeah, but generally they're just like very similar to each other. It's just like one has meat and the other one has either no or very little meat. Okay, so the onions are ready. So what I am gonna do is add the, let me just put this over here.
Oh, and we've got another question about the courgette. Should we chop the courgette into cubes? Or...
Yes, so I would say if you have like a large one, just cut it like that in the middle and then chop it so that it is actually halved. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my tomatoes. I'm gonna put half of the tomatoes here, and then I've got the other half for the fool. Let's give it a nice mix over here. And I think that some of you had actually increased or decreased the heat to about low for the onions to sweat nicely. Now, when you put the tomatoes, you can feel free to actually increase the heat a little bit so that it can cook faster.
And do you think both of these dishes could be eaten, or traditionally are they eaten at any time during the day, or is it more kind of...
Sorry, that's my...
Sorry, guys.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm just gonna turn off mute. I'll mute it up for just a second.
I think there's a question around the dishes. The tomato, which dishes do the tomatoes go into?
I think Fatma's just on mute, but hang on, let me check, because it was in the ingredients list.
I think it goes into each, doesn't it? We got half and half, tomatoes in each of the dishes, I think.
Yeah.
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 And that's as far as we've got so far.
Yes, it's tomatoes and tomato puree in both of them.
Sorry about that, everyone.
No worries. Is it off now?
Yes, I heard something about tomato puree. Yes, go ahead and like add about a teaspoon or a little bit more onto each.
Yeah, puree.
Yeah. I actually can't locate my tomato puree. Give me 1 second. It's somewhere in the fridge, I promise.
Just the full.
Fatma, you're just on mute.
Oops, sorry. So what I just did was add a little bit of the tomato puree into the base for both of them. So approximately about a teaspoon or a little bit more.
Great stuff. I think we're better off that with that in a hot case rather than that, or the stone bowl.
Fatma, what I was asking just before the fire, the smoke alarm went off, was just about the times of the day or the meals in which salta and fool would traditionally be eaten.
Yeah. So mainly, okay. So fool is very popular during breakfast and also dinner, but more breakfast because it can be quite. I wouldn't really call it heavy, but it's very wholesome. So if you have that with a little bit of bread, then you're sorted for the whole day. Some people actually call fool, the food of the poor because that substitutes things like meat or chicken or fish and all of that. Sorry, I will jump into salta in a second, but I would right now actually grab my my garlic and I'll mince them and add them into both the dishes. Okay, so I'm just gonna add some minced garlic in there. So I like garlic, so I'm gonna put 2. If you're not a huge fan, then 1 is more than enough. It's just really for that, for that nice flavor profile. Add it over here. Let it cook nicely. And then in a second as well, you're gonna start adding your spices. So I will return this here. Be very careful with my halwa. So you've got mix all your ingredients together. So my tomato puree and my garlic. How it's nicely coming together. This is the point where you can actually reduce the heat a little bit because the tomatoes are already starting to cook nicely. Okay, so before I go into my spices, I will tell you that salta is a dish that you could only have for lunch. That's it. But this is the case for Yemen because lunch is actually the main meal of the day. If you're obviously in England or in other parts of the of the West, then yes, I would expect that you would have something like salta for dinner because that is the main meal. But salta is actually it can be quite heavy once you have it like with everything else. It's also very popular for lunch in the northern parts, especially because that's the big meal that people have before they start chewing qat, which is like this green thing that people chew so that they can be either relaxed or it's not, well, it's some people don't really classify it as a drug, and it's been looked at as this maybe you can call it like a tradition all over Yemen. So because people have qat, they can't eat anything else along it. So that's how they actually have things like fahsa or salta, so that they're covered for the whole day without having to eat anything else after. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab a little spoon over here so that I can add my spices. Now, some of the main spices in any Yemeni kushna or dish is actually cumin. People love cumin. And then the other bits are extra. So things like, black pepper or a ground coriander or anything else. So if you are actually making both dishes, I would say keep the simpler spices, which is a spoonful of cumin, and then a little bit of coriander, ground coriander. This is for the fool. And then what I like to do, and some people are opposed to this, is add a a small spoon as well of a teaspoon of curry powder. So I just give it.
Sorry, when you're finished with the spices, do you mind
Yeah.
just giving us a quick summary or overview of what's in both dishes at the moment?
Of course, yes.
Thanks.
So I'll just finish this one over here. And if you're actually making both dishes, which is the salta and the ful, I would say no need to add the coriander in there. Just give it like approximately a teaspoon of cumin, and then go for a little bit of black pepper, and then just a tiny bit, if you have that in your kitchen, a little bit of cinnamon, just a tiny bit of cinnamon over there, and a tiny bit of turmeric. Now, this is completely optional. The last two that I because I know when I sent out the list to Ishkar, I didn't have them on there. But if you're making both of them, I would encourage that one tastes slightly different than the other. Okay, so I'm gonna.
I think we all need a recap.
Of course, yes, I will do a recap right now.
John agrees with me.
Okay, so let's start all from the start. So you've chopped your onions, you put them in there, and you sweat them nicely. And then once you see that they've become kind of like wilted and translucent, then that's when you add your tomatoes. And in a recap as well of the quantities, it's always 1 onion to 2 tomatoes, 2 medium tomatoes, and then 2 garlic cloves, or less if you want. So 1, 2, 2. So once your onions are ready, you can add in your tomatoes, turn the heat a little bit so that they can cook faster, and then also add in your tomato puree and your garlic and let them all cook nicely. And then once they're almost there, when it looks like it's nicely cooked, like I will show you at the moment. So this one is actually almost cooked.
Can you just tip it a tiny bit? Ooh. And I can see it.
Yep. So this one over here is actually almost cooked. And how you can tell as well is when the tomatoes are no longer liquidy. So you can't really see a lot of water. So it's quite dry. And that's when you know it's actually, getting there very soon. So this one over here, for example, my portion for the ful is still not quite cooked. So I'm still gonna, keep it in there for a little longer. Has everyone had their vegetables boiling on the side? If I may ask, because that's like something that we're doing on the side. If not, that is absolutely fine. You could add everything onto the cushion and then just like have it boil nicely together.
And a recap with the spices, I think Amanda has a question.
Sorry, I forgot about that one. So, so the main spices for either of them is cumin, number 1. So if you're making my full recipe, then it's 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of dried coriander, and 1 teaspoon of curry powder. If you don't have curry powder, that's absolutely fine. You just help yourself to just the 2 of them. Now, if you're also making salta and you want it to be slightly different, you can keep the same ingredients, but take away the curry and instead put a little bit of, what do you call it? A little bit of cinnamon and a little bit of turmeric.
I just had a quick question on the okra. Do we slice it? Is it sliced?
It depends on the size. So if you've got the large ones, okay, so you've got the large ones. So cut it into about maybe 3 or 4.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So it's good that they're small because it will help you when you dip it in with the bread. You can actually get all those ingredients together onto your tiny piece of bread.
Thanks.
I'm gonna quickly check on my potatoes because I've had them there boiling. And yeah, they are actually ready. So I'm just gonna turn off the heat and I'm just gonna, because I know things like cauliflower and green beans actually don't take a lot of time to cook. So I'm just going to add them in there with the hot water. And then they will cook as my selta is getting ready. So that's absolutely fine.
Is everyone following at the moment? Anyone need to catch up on any points? All good.
So I know that my cushion for the selta is actually ready. So I'm just going to show you how it's all like, how it's all nice and dried up already. So this is my cushion. So I'm just going to leave it on the side because I don't want it to burn, but I know that the heat is still going to remain in there. And also the cushion for my fool is almost ready because it's almost dry.
Can you just show us on the screen? I can't see what it is. Thanks.
I'm gonna do it over here. So it's almost ready. You can see how it's still a little bit wet, which is still fine. So I'm just gonna give it another couple of minutes and it should be ready to go.
Brendan has a question.
Yes, go for it, Brendan.
Fatma, the full Madamas is very lonely there at the moment. There's nothing in it except what's in it, Kate? There's just onions, the tomatoes, a couple of spices.
What else going in there?
That's all we have in there at the moment.
That's all. Yes, that's all. So
and another question while I'm on, you know, the vegetable stock. Where are we going to have to make up quantities in water?
No, it's up to you. So if you want, you can have your vegetable stock soaked into hot water right now if you wanted to. So I would say 1 or 1.5 cubes is more than enough because you don't want it to be too salty.
And how much water?
So I would say just a tiny bit, like maybe 20 ml, just enough for it to
like a paste.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And if you don't wanna do that, you can also add your stock right there at the end, and it will just like sort of dissolve itself. Yeah, I like to do a little like crushing.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes the cube takes forever.
Yeah.
Okay. So we actually have we're on track at the moment because everything is just going to be ready really quick. So if your vegetables are nicely boiling, what we can do is we could slowly we could actually turn off the heat. If your cushion is ready, I've already showed you how it looks like when it's nice and dried up. If you want, you can keep that on the side and turn it off so that I can show you how to make the whipped fenugreek. So I'm just going to wait for Brendan.
Is everyone ready for the whipped fenugreek?
Yeah?
No one's saying no, so I think,
Okay.
yeah.
So this is my, I'm going to turn this off because I don't want to. So here is my whipped not whipped, it's still just fenugreek. And it's the one that's been soaking in water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the water off. So I'm going to drain it. And it's absolutely fine if you have a little bit extra water left. So whatever you can get out, you can get out. It's absolutely fine. So this is what I have left. There's some water in there, but it's absolutely fine. So what you can do is you can get either a whisk, or if you don't have one, you could use a fork. That's fine. And then you're going to start whipping. So you're going to be a little bit quick in this as well. Sorry, let me just... So what you're going to do is you're going to start whipping until it actually starts fluffing. I'm just going to do it this way here so you can see. You're going to slowly notice that the consistency will start to change and it will become fluffy. So the more that you whisk, the fluffier it gets. Sorry, this whole thing is moving. I might actually move it over here so that it doesn't create all of that noise and you can still see me.
Fatma, do you use an electric blender to whip that, or do you have to use a...
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. I would say like a regular blender would probably not work, but you could use the cake blender that works perfectly fine. Or you can use like any electrical equipment that would actually help you, so it's not a problem. I'm just going to turn it over here. You can see how it becomes slowly like nice and fluffy. And if you actually want, I learned this trick from a friend, you can actually add just like 1 ice cube to help it fluff as well. Do I have any ice cubes? Yes, I do.
Looks great, Karen.
I can add my ice cube in there. Can everybody see?
Yeah, there we go.
So this one requires a little bit of strength. I'm quite happy with mine and the way that it turned out. Look at that. Okay, you can always whisk it a little more. That's fine until you're actually happy with it. So yeah, the fluffier, the better. So I've got a nice consistency over there. Okay, so we can keep our fenugreek on the side. It's actually quite interesting how it was all like soaked in water, and you wouldn't really tell that it can actually be of this consistency. But once you give it a whisk, it will just be really cool and fluffy. And then you could add our green stuff, but I will keep that to the side at the moment. And then I'm going to go back to my vegetables and my fool. And then the last thing, or actually what we can do is to save ourselves some time, I can actually add all the green stuff right now. So you've got your green mix. So shall I do a quick recap? So what you're going to do is you are going to whip your fenugreek after about 45 minutes to an hour of it being soaked in water. And then once again, I'm going to add this green mix, which is consistent of 2 to 3, but the main ingredients are basically spring onions and also a little bit of garlic, some chili, but also some coriander. If you don't like garlic, then you could just keep it to only the greens and you should be good to go. So I'm going to add about a spoon. So I'm going to just drain the water a little bit. Okay. And then add that into my fenugreek. Give it a little mix. And it's become nice and green. So the color actually changed. I like mine a little greener, so I could just do up another block of that. There you go. So I've got my hulba ready. Now, shall we go back to our selta and fool?
Yes, I think so.
Yes. So I've got, so all our cushions are ready. I'm going to turn the heat back on. we go. Okay, I will grab a spoon. So I'm gonna grab my vegetables, okay? So what I've done is I have added it into my harada, okay? And then I can give them all a good mix over there and also add some hot water in there with a little bit of the cubes of the stock.
Yep, we've got a question, Brendan.
As usual, it's from me. What do you? We've made the hulba with the fenugreek, and we put the greens into it.
Yes.
What are you doing with which vegetables are you talking about now? You're talking about the courgettes and the potatoes.
They're in the Celta.
Yes, so those are going to go onto the Celta. Yes.
They're onto the Celta, yeah.
Now we're adding water, a bit of water.
And then you mentioned then the stock. Where does that go into the Celta?
Oh, yeah, so that goes into your veg mix, into the Celta as well. Yeah.
Okay, into the Celta. Thank you.
So I'm just gonna mush my my vegetable stock and just add it to the cushion for both of them. And then what I will do is just add a little bit of hot water. I would say approximately like a cup or more, just so that it can nicely cover it up like that. And then the same thing as well for the food.
Fatma, when you put the kettle down, can we just have a quick look at the stove so we can see what's cooking?
So I've added approximately a cup of hot water over here for the full, and then I've also got mine over here for the Celta. So you can see it's like starting to like nicely boil together. Give it a little mix. So you've got all your the red cushion or the red tomato base and all the vegetables going nicely together. Don't worry if it's a little bit watery, especially on the harada, because it will help, because the heat will help like dry it up. And so while I've got everything boiling for my Celta, but you guys can eat, so you can actually taste the saltiness. If you like, you can add a little bit of salt in there as well. But yeah, the vegetable stock normally is quite salty, so that's at times I don't even add extra. Okay, so
has anyone tasted theirs so far?
Okay, now I would like to add my fool, because my Celta is nicely boiling. We've got my fool over here. So, oops, I have 2 spoons. I'm just gonna do is I'm just gonna pour it in there and give it a nice mix. And what I like to do as well, and again, this is completely optional, is I like to mush part of the fool. So what I will do is I will take some of my fool like this and just take a bunch and just push it to the side, because they're already cooked in the can anyway, so they're ready. So I'm just going to give it a little push so that they can be a bit mushy. So I've got a mix of whole and a bit of mush. Again, if you like it whole, you can just keep it that way. I like to mix it up a little bit. I've got my vegetables nicely being boiling together with my cushion.
Can we have a quick look at the vegetables?
Yes, I was just about to do that. Okay, so here you are. So you've got everything is nicely boiling together
Amazing.
over there. I've added a little extra water, but that's fine. It will dry up really quickly as well. I've seen some people actually, I mean, it depends, different households do things differently. So what I've seen some people do is they actually try to mush some of the vegetables in the salta again. So they don't like to have it a bit whole. So they like to have to be a little bit mushy. I suppose that's also because it's easier as well when it comes to eating it all up with your piece of bread. If you've bought some either pita bread or some naan, I'm just going to pop mine into the oven real quick so that they're ready. They only take about 2 minutes, I believe, so that should be great. So I'm only one person, so one is enough for me, and I'm going to wait until later anyways. So I'm just going to pop it into the oven, and since the cushion is already cooked and the fool is already cooked, so you don't need to actually leave it there for too long. Just wait until it boils, and then you could just turn down the heat and it should be fine. So where is everyone at? Have we already put all the ingredients into our cushion?
Does anyone want to show us if they're what they're proud of cooking already? Nice.
Wow, bravo. It's looking good. Amanda, well done.
Thanks, it's getting very hot.
Are you doing both or are you just doing the salta?
I'm doing both, but I only have a really little one of these. So I've got 2 fulls going. And
Oh, wow. Got a piece. So yeah, so everything right now is almost, well, I think the salta for me, I mean, mine looks completely ready, but I'm just going to let it boil and, you know, get all the spices nicely, just flavoring everything that's in there. If you have your chilies, another thing that I like to do. Where are my chilies? Sorry guys, I've actually lost my chilies, but oh yeah, there they are. So what I like to do is once they're all like almost ready, I just like to put it in there. If you like things a little bit spicy, then you could just like poke a little you know, hole into the chili and just put it in there. If not, then that's absolutely fine. You could just sort of like put it in there like this. And then just sort of squeeze it in there just for some nice flavor.
But why do you pop a hole in it and rather than chop it up? Is it make it kind of?
Yeah, so if you like things hot, then you could just chop it in and then just put it in there. If you don't, then, and you just like a little bit of that flavor, you could either chop it up and just sort of take off all the small seeds in there because that's where all the heat comes from, but yet you can keep the flavor. So it's completely up to you. Okay, so my salta is actually ready. I'm just gonna ask one more time at where everyone's at, because this is for me the magical part where you actually add all the fenugreek on there, and then you have it with your. So I think it looks like everyone is there. That's amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna make some space for my grand salta.
Fatma.
يا فاطمة شوفي.
Ya salam.
مساء
Wow, that's excellent.
That looks
Go on top then,
amazing.
yeah.
Yes.
bubbling.
Brilliant.
Okay, I'm gonna start with my fool. Yeah, I love fool, but it's not as grand as salta. So I'm just gonna, you know, pop it into a regular bowl because I don't have another haraba. let me just move things so that you can see as well.
How's it tasting?
So I've got my, oh wait, let me just put it in here.
I just tasted the fenugreek. It's a bit bitter.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay, good then. It's good.
If you don't like it, that's absolutely fine. I know a lot of Yemenis who don't like the taste. So even when it's on the selta, they just sort of like push it on the side and just have it without. So I'm just gonna take my my fool. I'm just gonna put it in a nice presenting plate or a bowl. Again, I've left mine like half mushy, half whole. And then, so yeah, I've got that here. And then just to garnish, I'm going to take a few of my coriander leaves. You can either keep them like whole like that, depending on your, you know, your artistic skills, or you can actually just sort of like cut them up into small pieces. And there you go. So you've got your fool nice and ready. And so now for the grand finale. So I'm going to safely transport my selta.
Well, hang on, she's coming now, Kay.
This is too much for us. Too much for us.
There you go. So that's my selta. Just put this over here.
Okay.
You can see it.
The full dish, yeah.
Oh wait, let me just check on my. Ready?
I love the way the harada keeps the heat and you can see it's still boiling.
Still
Yeah.
sizzling. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your whipped fenugreek and then just blob it on there.
I should actually say, Rafika, just about the halga pots. We
Yes.
do have some made in Yemen using soapstone for sale on Ishka. So I'm just going to put the link in the chat, and if anyone wants one of them, you know where to find them.
So this is, oh wait, this is what it is up close, beautifully, you know, sizzling in there. I love how the bubbles are also coming out on the side. And so where is everyone at? Because the last thing that I'm gonna do is just show you how you just.
There we go. Look.
Oh wow, that looks amazing!
That was really good.
Smells beautiful.
The full.
Oh, well done.
Yo, well, you love your coriander.
The
It's
stone
amazing.
bowls are really amazing. They're fantastic. They keep the heat.
Yes, that's. I mean, it could just. Oh, well, too bad that you know if it was like an hour away. But if it was like half an hour away, I wouldn't worry because it would still remain nice and warm.
Really great. Great. You can get them on the website. I saw you can buy them now.
I know.
Yeah.
That was the link I've just put in the chat. So those are actually made all in Yemen, and they are.
Yeah.
Because these came from 1970 from the souk up in Sana, you know?
Oh my god.
Yeah, 1970s, yeah.
And I have a question because they apparently they get harder and harder with time. Is that
These are blacks. You look at them; they're well used. I mean, they've been around for, and they never. Once one of the kids was going to throw one out, they thought it was some sort of a. I almost had a heart attack. You know, don't throw it out. I thought it was something. You know, oh, it's just an old dirty dish. I said, no, it's not.
It's amazing that they start out white, and then you know as you use them, they get blacker and blacker and blacker.
Yes, exactly.
They get harder, and they I'd say in 200 years' time, they'll still look.
Absolutely. I know people sometimes like love them and hold on to them like they're children.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even let anyone else borrow them because like no, this is mine, this is my harala, because they're too scared like someone is gonna drop it or it's gonna break. Because sometimes it's not the heat. Sometimes when it's a little bit mishandled, you can see like some of the parts like coming off. But it doesn't change anything. You can still cook in it. Yeah. I have yet to find someone in England who can actually fix a broken one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I can't go all the way to Yemen because they do have like special people who do
Well,
that.
they're well worth having for these dishes, though. Because
yes, exactly.
They do keep. You can see the selta just bubbles and bubbles and bubbles. You know, whereas you put that into an ordinary plate or a dish, it just gets cold.
Especially in Ireland where everything gets cold. You know. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a few. You can. The only thing you don't microwave them.
Yeah, don't microwave. Don't even put them in the
Are in the dishwasher. The dishwasher weakens them.
Exactly. So yeah, so for the where is everyone at? Amanda, you good over there? You good? Oh, fantastic. That looks absolutely smashing. Well done. Fine.
Just finishing on the salter.
Amazing, amazing. So I'm just gonna quickly show you like how well there isn't like any science to it, but if you want to get all your food, what you could do is you could just take a little bit of your fenugreek and then sort of do it like this. Oops. Oh, it's too hot still. Oh, I don't know how people can eat it while it's this hot. So basically, yeah, you take it. This is why you need your vegetables to be a little bit smaller.
Like a little sandwich.
Exactly. So you've got it like that, and then you just eat it. So I'm just gonna stare at it right now.
It's too hot to eat.
It's too hot to eat. Yes, exactly. But yeah,
Fatma said there. One thing you said, Fatma, I think is it'd be great. Any leftover vegetables, if anything left over from bits of broccoli or any of that sort of stuff.
Exactly. You can
Bits of cauliflower, everything, throw it all in.
Yeah, and can I also add, you can actually put in some leftover rice in there. Some people like to add an egg, so you could just like sort of mix the egg before you like add all your vegetables in, and you could just have it in there, and it's nice and ready. Another thing, because I don't really like wasting food, so whatever it was, if you made a little too much like I did with this mix, what you can do is you can add a little bit of chili and some tomato. Put it in there, mix it all up, and then this becomes zahawig, or like what the Yemeni Jews call it.
That's Rafiqa's speciality.
Yeah.
So
she's the Irish expert.
Amazing. So yeah, you could have that also with your salsa or with your fool. It's an amazing sort of like add-on / chutney, and it makes everything taste really good.
Do you know another thing too, Fatma? Sorry for interrupting you.
Go for it.
Those black aubergines. They're horrible thing. The eggplant. They're really tasteless, but you can actually put that into the full madammas as well, and you can.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, you cut that up into full madammas, and also you can put an egg in the full madammas. As well, and it really gives the body, and all that, but
yeah.
We're telling you now.
I've never actually had them together, but that sounds amazing. I would definitely try it all together.
It brings us right back to Yemen. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Have you been to Yemen, if I may ask, Brendan?
Pardon?
What's that?
Have you been to Yemen?
We've been to Yemen. We got married in Sana'a.
And Kika was our bride.
Kika was our Rafiqa was our.
I was the bridesmaid. I was the bridesmaid, the flower girl.
We met in Yemen, and we got married 43 years ago.
Yes. Oh my God, that's amazing.
I was at Sanawat there, and she was out of So we know Yemen, but it's a long time ago.
We were volunteers, Peace Corps.
I hope one day you can visit again. We'll go and visit again, hopefully.
Yes.
Well, to wrap up, I just want to say thank you all so much. You've been, absolute stars. I hope, everything was easy to understand and to follow. The video is saved, so you can always like go back to it if you've missed a step. Do enjoy your dinner, and these are the stories of Yemen, and this is how Yemenis like me can tell the stories of Yemen. It's really through food. And inshallah, one day I can host you in Yemen.
Yeah.
Or just come to the pop-ups in London if once they're all up and running.
Thank you so much, Fatma. I think, I speak for everybody when I say it was really amazing. Such a nice way to spend an evening. And we will have this recorded. So if anyone wants to do it again, or for the first time, you can see that. And we'll send you all a link.
Yeah, I'd also like to just thank Ishkar for being absolute stars. Every time I've gone into a collaboration with them, it's just been amazing and smooth. So thank you for setting this all up. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. Are you gonna do more?
We should.
Bint Sahel.
Bint al-Sahn. Oh, I'm still learning how to do that. But,
So hard.
but once
That's
I
a
have
challenge.
it, yeah. Once it's all mastered, I promise I will have a class for
Yeah,
everyone.
definitely.
I see Joachim is eating. Does that taste good?
Getting hungry.
Right.
Thank you for all of this.
Thank you.
Thank
Very much.
you.
Have a good
Bye.
Assalamu.
Salama.
Assalamu.
Till next time.
See you next
Bye bye.
Bye.